Hi, and welcome to the I Ramble podcast. We're an entrepreneur-centric podcast, guiding you with some tried and true strategies from people that have taken their ideas from mental creation to reality. Now they're trying to make it easier for you to succeed in your endeavors. So sit back and listen to these entrepreneurs, builders, and designers share the step-by-step formulation of their business. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for new episodes. Enjoy!
All right, what the deal with the business is, and that's not rhetorical, you already know, that's a real question. What the business is, and today the business is sustaining your business. And as an entrepreneur, I had some failed, some success, and things of that nature. And one thing I had to learn was business acumen, and one thing I had to learn was let your business talk to you. So I reached out to this gentleman to see if he can give us some guidance in how to actually sustain your business. And I love one of his quotes. I'm going to read it later on as we get into it. Now that you open your business, start your business, what's next? What are all these steps that are tried and true to your business? And I'm not going to do him any disservice. I'm going to let him introduce himself. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Absolutely. My name is Greg Palmer. I am the president and owner of GPI Financial Services. We are an insurance and risk management firm that was established here in the Atlanta area back in 2003 with a focus in working with small minority-owned businesses because we found that there was a lack of information flowing to those businesses. So we thought that that would be a really good place to park ourselves to help those businesses not only sustain themselves, but also to grow.
Okay.
So that's the whole key behind it is to grow. And the key behind business is to basically start from where you are, wherever you are, start there. And the key, I would say, with a business is also to have a business plan. I can't overemphasize the fact that you have a business plan. On the way here, I was just thinking that a business plan is not a GoFundMe page.
Okay.
Because I think so many people that have GoFundMe pages for a business, and you're like, what's your plan? GoFundMe is not the plan.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad you even said that too as well, because I think your passion and your idea makes not a business.
Absolutely.
So you need to find out what are the steps that are tried and true, because what you're trying to do is actually make the business idea be sustainable and be long lasting. So if you don't have what a business plan offers you, which is some kind of a structure, then you're kind of putting yourself in that fail bracket almost when you first start out.
Absolutely, right out of the blocks. And that's real key that you say that, because it's been said that people without a vision will perish. And as a business owner, entrepreneur, you have to have vision. You have to be able to see in your mind's eye what you wanted to do and where you wanted to go. You have to be able to, envision it. If I were to ask you, what do you see? Being a person with, in their mind's eye, I see in 5 years we'll be the dominant force in this industry. We'll have this, we'll have that. These are the goals and the plans that I have. And if you don't have that, I suggest something that someone told me years ago, and that is, if you see a person that's doing what you want to do, follow them, do what they do, and you get what they get.
Okay.
Same thing happens if you want to be poor. Follow what those folk tell you, and you'll end up with what they got.
Okay.
So be careful for the advice that you get, that you receive.
Okay.
It's been said that you can learn something from a fool.
I believe that too.
Yeah. But throw out everything that's not relevant, so that you don't do a lot of foolish things.
Facts.
And I would say in business also, if you can find yourself a mentor, mentors are so key. When I first started my practice, I had three mentors, and they were all older guys, all wise men. And I would meet them for breakfast. And they would say, man, Greg, you eat breakfast like that every day? I said, no, just when I'm with you guys. But I had three of them, and I would just sit down. We would break bread, and I would just tell them what was going on. And they gave me some key advice, because these guys, had a lot of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
So I listened and I paid attention to what they gave me, because these guys were successful.
Okay. No, I believe that too as well. I was so ironic that you say that, but the universe aligns certain things. I was thinking that earlier where having a strong, good mentor is a very good thing in whatever you're starting out and whatever you're formulating, finding someone who's actually done it, did it, or is doing it that have these so-called tricks of the trade because they've learned it themselves from probably a mentor. So now they're going to pass on and impart some wisdom to you that is tried and true. And are you really ready to use that in whatever you're trying to build and grow and do? So that's things that work out themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say something else that, as minority business owners, you don't have to always be a solopreneur.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is sometimes you could have people that are maybe not in the exact same vein you're in, but might be sidelined to you. An example was we had a workshop where a gentleman was providing, I don't remember what it was. He was providing a service to like these government entities. And he had a guy that was doing something a little different, but to that same clientele. And they did a merger. So he acquired that business.
Okay.
And that actually helped to, talk about a quantum leap. It helped him to really grow his business to a point where in a couple of years, he was doing millions of dollars.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to grow.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur. You may start small.
Yeah.
But you can't think small.
Okay.
You have to think big.
Yeah. And I think we get what we create mentally. We just did a episode with a psychologist therapist. And that's kind of one of the things that we kind of talked about because what you create in your mind on a consistent base is what your mind works to give you. So if you create defeatists, if you create negativity, your brain is just saying, okay, this is what we want. Here it is. So I'm going to make sure we fail because that's what you're asking us to do. I give the whole stenographer theory. It's like your brain is a stenographer.
Right.
It don't type nothing you don't give it.
Right.
So whatever you want, type it in there, program it, and your brain start putting that energy out there, and it just works. It's strange because we don't know why we're here, but there's certain principles that we can kind of adhere to and be successful. And that's one of the reasons why I really reached out to you because all that we're doing is trying to be a hodgepodge of information for the new ones.
Absolutely.
Log on to us, listen and see how you can put bits of this, bits of that, because a lot of this overlap in business and in practice. So you may not want to open a hair studio, but you can hear some steps that you might can use in what you're trying to do.
Absolutely. We always talk about taking information. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open.
There you go.
So you have to keep your mind open to opportunities. And when you see some information, take what you can use. If you can't use all of it, discard the rest. But take what you can use to make yourself successful and putting yourself in a position to be successful. Like you said, whatever you believe and conceive, you can achieve.
You can.
But you have to first believe it.
And your inner has to believe you believe it. So it's an ongoing process in even doing that. So what's your background in business? What's your, I don't want to say just your education. Like, what is your background in business? Because you chose to help business. So how did you even formulate starting out helping, businesses?
It was something from childhood where I always figured that I would do something like some kind of a problem solver. When I came out of the military, I was down in Fort Benning. I came out and I came to Atlanta. And at the time, I was an x-ray technician, but I didn't want to stay in the healthcare field. So I went to look at some opportunities, and I looked at some opportunities in the insurance business. And I met a gentleman, and he took me out, and he showed me what he was doing. And I just couldn't believe the amount of freedom. And that's what hooked me.
Okay.
So there I got started, and I stayed with him for about a year and a half, left there, went to Prudential, The Rock. And that's where I really had an opportunity to hone my skills. So I stayed with them about 8 years. And then I went into private practice. I had a friend of mine that went down to Atlanta Life. And I was like, that's like the holy grail for me. Because if we could get in there and set that off, man, you talk about, being in a position to change thousands of lives. But that was short lived. And in 2003, that's when I decided I better get back into private practice and focus on working with small business people. And from there, to now, that's why I kind of stayed.
Okay. And then, so what type of businesses do you personally have? And do you actually multitask in terms of helping other businesses in their success while you're doing those? Or is just helping other business build and grow your main focus?
I say it's twofold. I look to build my practice as well as help them to be successful at theirs, because I believe that every business owner should have some advisors, some trusted advisors. As an example, like for myself, I have an accountant that I've had for years. I don't try to be my own accountant. I want a professional to do that. So I have an accountant. I work with accountants, attorneys. We have a back office with some accountants and some attorneys. So if we walk into a situation that's complex, then we can pull them in and say, this is what we have. This is what's going on with this business owner. The whole thing for me is to help businesses to thrive and to grow, because if they grow, we grow. And that's the key. And, when I got started, I said I wanted to help 1,000 businesses become multimillionaire businesses. So that's the track we're on, 1,000 businesses to be multi-million-dollar operations.
Okay.
So that as they grow, we can all grow together, and we can also provide for that next generation.
Okay.
Like you said, we want to be able to teach these things, because what's our legacy going to say? Who cares about how many cars and how many boats and houses you had? What did you do? How did you help? What is your legacy? What is it going to say? Here lies a person, he mailed them a whole lot of wealth. They didn't do nothing for nobody else.
Okay.
Or here's a person that helped 1,000 folks be successful. And from there, we've created generational wealth.
Exactly.
We talk it, but we have to also walk it.
Okay. No, that's fantastic. And, that's good stuff. So, like I said, I went into your bio and I looked into some of the things that actually you were doing. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of get into it. How does, wealth work? Excellent. Like you started your business, you're generating revenue, things of this nature or what have you, but you really don't have an understanding of it. How does it actually work?
Here's wealth. Wealth is that thing that you can pass on to the next generation. You could be rich or you could be wealthy. Personally, I'd rather be wealthy, because wealthy people understand that money is nothing more than a tool. So if you use that tool properly, you'll position yourself and your family for generations. I mean, you look at some of these families, the Vanderbilts, the Kennedys, you look at those families, it just perpetuates wealth, because they understand it's not how much you make, how much you keep. Antoine Walker. I don't know if you're familiar with Antoine Walker. He was a basketball player.
Yeah. Played
with the Boston Celtics. And I think he finished his career with the Atlanta Hawks. But Antoine went through, I think they said like $100 million and filed bankruptcy. That's somebody that's rich. Somebody that's wealthy understands, out of this 100 million, we need to stack it.
So what would your advice be for someone? Okay, I'm glad you said something like that, because oftentimes our wealth or richness from our family come from sports and these quick things of physicality, right? And you're not coming from no kind of knowledge of financial acumen or how to even do that. So what would you have suggested? Because even some of their financial advisor may have been the person who, rip you off, or a friend or family who came with an idea.
Absolutely.
This, that, and the third. So are there any tried and true principles that they can even adhere to?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that you have to remember about wealth is you can make a lot of money over time. So if you have a lot of time, you can make money. Or if you have a whole lot of money, then you can grow it that way as well. But, and don't forget now, they just signed this new bill, which is going to create more taxation. So Uncle Sam is coming for your money. And Uncle Sam, they're going to get what's theirs. The key is to understand how taxes work and set yourself up so that you can put money in some programs. As an example, what we use is a concept called infinite banking, where we teach people how to become the bank. You don't have to make a whole bunch of money, but you need to position yourself to save some of it. You can't spend it all.
Okay.
So we say take 10%, 15. If you're frugal, 20.
Okay.
And stack it and put it in a vehicle that Uncle Sam can't get to.
Okay.
Because see, here's the game. Uncle Sam allowed people to set up 401ks. Why did Uncle Sam do it? Because he knows that at the end of the rainbow, when you got that big pot of gold, he down there waiting, and he gonna get a big chunk of it. You know what I've heard, and this is the thing that blows me away. People would always say, "Oh, well, buy term, invest the difference, all of this other stuff. By the time you get down there, you won't need it." How do you know? How do you know you're not going to need it? How do you know what your tax is going to be? Because taxes change. Every administration changes taxes. Some go up, some bring it down. So you don't know what the tax law is going to be. But one thing I do know is that if you get into these programs today, they're going to be grandfathered. And what does that mean? It's going to be off the table for whatever new stuff to come along. So I try to tell folks, look, while things are going this way, get in, put as much as you can, as fast as you can, as quickly as you can to start saving some money. And we show people how they can use the tax code to their benefit to get tax-free income, tax deferred, IRAs, 401ks, all of those are tax deferred.
Roth and all.
Well, a Roth is after tax dollars. So Roth's a little different. But with a Roth, they set the limits on how much you can put in.
Okay.
We got plans where you can put in more than a Roth amount of money. But Roth is good. Roth is a good thing. But all these other ones, the 401ks and all, think about it this way. They let you deduct off the top of your taxes a couple $1,000, $3,000, $5,000. Okay. So $3,000, $5,000 today. And they let you do that over 40 years. Now think about it. By the time that 40 years is up, how much cash you got stacked at 40 years versus when you first started. That could be a substantial tax bill when you get to that pot of gold. We show folks, just like with the Roth, we show folks how you could take that after-tax dollar, stack it.
So it's the conversion?
Right. You convert that after-tax dollar. You're not deducting. You're not deducting. If you want to deduct, that's fine. You get to a point where you're making so much money, you're going to have to do some of those things. But that's not the foundation. We want to build a foundation on as much tax-free income as we can.
Okay.
That's our mentality. Let's build out as much tax-free, not tax-deferred. Tax-deferred means tax is going to be paid at some point in time.
Because we need roads, we need street lights, we need...
And the government need more of your money.
It's a give and take.
Yeah.
Because they're offering us an ability to even make said money. So it's only natural that the quid pro quo come into play.
They want their money. They want their cut. And the government is just like the old mafioso. I don't care. I want my money. Your kid's sick? I don't care. I want my money. And that's how they are. But the key is to use the tax code to your benefit. And that's what we show our clients, how to use the tax code. That's why we use infinite banking.
So it's not skirting. It's just how to be intelligent in terms of what you have to do as a business.
Absolutely. When you know better,
you do better. You actually do it. You don't say it for it to sound good. You actually make it a good business practice.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm hearing, and what I like is that you're in a business to make money.
Absolutely.
And you would love to love it and provide a great service. And you know that taxes are due in a timely manner, quarterly, yearly, however your business is structured or is required.
Absolutely.
But it just make good business sense that you try to maximize your business. It's like having shareholders. You're at that point pleasing your shareholders to the detriment of sometimes your customers. because your shareholders is who you're beholden to and who you're answering to at the end of the year. Like, look, we're not offering extra napkins. You get two, you know, whatever the intricacies become in that. But what you're doing, you're fighting for the business owner in order to maximize their business, because that's the difference between opening the next location and the next location and generational wealth as well, because you're saving as much as you can in the hard work that you put forth.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely. No doubt about it when you say that, because when you think about business, folks typically, when they go into business to become wealthy.
Right.
Otherwise, you could just work a 9-to-5 job, get your paycheck, and not worry about it. You know, and here's what we say. You should pay your taxes, but you don't have to pay the maximum tax.
Right.
Pay the minimum. I mean, bare minimum I got to pay y'all. I'm going to pay you. But trust me, I done looked at every tax code. I'm going to make sure I take advantage. And that's another reason to go into business, because you have so many opportunities to be able to bring that income down.
And stay compliant.
Right. And stay compliant. Pay your taxes. Do everything you're supposed to do. But at the same time, understand you came into this business to what? Become wealthy. So instead of buying a Mercedes, why not buy the Mercedes dealership? Position yourself to do those types of things. And again, you might start small. I think every business I could think of started small, and some of them started in people's garages.
Oftentimes.
Yeah. I mean, some of the biggest companies today started as an idea where somebody's professor said that'll never work. Right. Next thing you know, FedEx is up and running. Yeah. So you can't listen to what they say. No. You have to believe.
Yep.
Because a lot of folks will tell you that'll never work. And then what was it? I forgot. Bannister, the guy that broke the 4-minute mile. No, it wasn't humanly possible for man to break a 4-minute mile. Now people break it almost every day because somebody believed it.
Exactly.
And that's all it takes. You believe it. And once you believe it, you conceive the idea, you see it in your mind's eye, and you go out there and achieve it. But you got to have the right tools. Because everybody that's an entrepreneur may not be successful. But smart folk understand what they're weak at, and you position yourself. Position a team of people around you to help you. Because some folks are good at what it is that they do.
Just the creation of it, maybe.
Yeah. I'm great at creating art or this or that. So what do? You surround your folks that know how to get you in front of the folks that can help your art to take
come
off.
to fruition.
Exactly.
Yeah. Art gallery, whoever, someone just actually, I look at it as you empower and step back. And you just trust the people that you empower to know what they know and do what they do in order for the whole thing to be successful. I end up doing too much tinkering myself. Because, you have the child and you're trying to bring it to the wedding and everything. No. Sometimes you got to let them stumble and fall along the way and get up on their own.
Yes.
I try to hold, and sometimes that's not the proper way to conduct business. You empower someone, like you said, accountant. You're not good with numbers or what have you. You got a team of people who love that, and that's what they do. And you empower them for you to stay, your numbers on top of your game in terms of numbers, and then you focus on what you're good at and you're part of the team.
And one thing that Oprah said that I still remember clearly today: sign your checks. Don't let nobody sign your checks.
Okay.
You sign them, so you know what's going out the door.
You know what?
Because you get some of these financial folk that signing the checks.
Is that on every single level too as well? Because you pay them to make, because I hear all the time people fall in tax problems. I was hoping that Greg Pump, I was telling him to pay my due. So before you even send it out the door, hold on there, Mr. Palmer, let me see what.
Oh yeah.
It's on that micromanaged leveling with it.
I would say micromanaging, but the key is if you have to go in front of the IRS and those checks been signed, it's your liability. Okay. No one else's.
Okay.
Now, if their name is on there, different story. But if that check is in your company's name and you don't understand where that $1 million went to the offshore bank in the Cayman Islands and all of those types of things, the buck gonna stop at your desk. The tax man gonna stop at your desk. But what I'm saying is, don't let other folks sign all your checks for you. I mean, and nowadays, a lot of the stuff is automated. You know, it's rarely that I see checks because people do direct deposits these days. So it's a whole lot cleaner, a whole lot easier. But in those cases where you have where you have to write those big checks, don't just let anybody write them checks out.
Yeah.
You know, you need to have some check and balances in there.
Yeah.
You know, where you may have an accountant, but you should also have an auditor.
Okay.
So your accountant does it, and let somebody audit it once a year, just to make sure that you stay compliant, so that in the event of anything popping up, you're already aware of it.
Now, these are the things that we reach out to you to gain the information about. It's like checks on the checker and check on the checker. Like, how many lawyers do you hire? One to do the lawyering and one to watch his lawyering and one to watch his. No, but you need to actually, we did an episode on project management. Just because you open and you're GCing and you're looking, you need to peek your head inside the job sometime just to make sure you know what's going on. Should, in case your client asks you questions, you trust me to do this and that and the third, but you still need hands-on information just for yourself. Absolutely. Just to know, just to learn. So it goes back to these checks. Yeah, I trust Greg to do this for me, but you know, let me go by his office every once in a while and say, hey, what's going on? Is this, that? Are we okay? Don't just trust 100%. And it's not distrust. Right. It's just good business practice, right?
Yeah. Especially if your neighbor's on it. You know, your neighbor on the project, you know, I don't think sometimes in business, a lot of businesses don't do a good job in customer service. And the reason I say that is that those people that answer the phone with your name, they represent you. Okay. And it's been many times where we'll call customer service and it's been outsourced.
Yeah, I get that. I'm frustrated with that, Greg. I understand, and I understand it. You know, it's maybe cheaper, this, that, and the third, man. But I think customer service is underrated. I think it's lacking on a high level, and I think those businesses don't understand the frustration of the customer. Absolutely. When the customer service is poor.
Ooh, and look, that's a whole nother episode.
I think it's probably they need to do retraining over every 6 months or so. Look, this is our guidelines. These are the things that we're hearing from our customers that, you know, you're being too short with this and this, that, and the third. It's kind of strange out here. But I get it. They're trying to save money and it becomes a shareholder thing. I just think that's just me. I can't control what your budget is and what you spend, but the customer service should be above and beyond in anything that you do.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, the one company I can think of that has it down is Chick-fil-A.
Man, I echo that sentiment. Listen to me. If all these restaurants and places just go take an in-service or a tutorial.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, one of the things that I have thought about doing is to actually set up a training center centered around customer service, just to help other businesses and just, you know.
You need to move on that speedy before someone take your ID and run to us.
Say, hey, find the best people right here. You know, there they are. We've trained them, we've seasoned them, we got them ready for you.
You do that quickly.
But right now, it's kind of hard in this environment because a lot of folks, everybody's looking for, you know, help.
Yeah, true that is. So but then, you know what? There's a backlog, but once the backlog gets filled, they know to go to Palmer Training Services. You know what I'm saying? So, So, I don't know. There's supply chain issues, but it's eventually going to, you know, get back to a semi-normalcy in terms of that. But talk about key person insurance.
Every business, big or small, will always have some key individuals that keep it moving. Okay. In small businesses, it could be the owner or owners. It could be that top salesperson, you know, that top gun that's going out getting those accounts. but every business has some key people in there. And what we attempt to do is when we go into a business is to identify who are the key movers and shakers, because these are the money generators. These folk make money for the company. And if nothing's sold, nobody get paid. So we want to make sure that those drivers are protected. So the first thing we want to do is who are these key individuals? And then we want to put protection in place. As an entrepreneur or a business owner, you're on the high wire. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing it full time, you're definitely on the high wire without a net.
That is
so
true.
What we do is we supply that net. So if anything happens while you're up on that high wire, don't worry about falling off. We got you. Mm-hmm. So we got the key person coverage in place.
Okay.
They fall off, they become disabled.
Okay.
What we're going to do is pay the business so that key person that can no longer work for however long it might be, we're going to cover their expenses so that you can take their salary and go and identify someone else that could take their place, maybe over the short haul, maybe over the long haul. Mm-hmm. But we always want to take care of those key people because those are the driving forces.
Okay. And retirement planning, how important is that in a business? Because you might start your business and think it's just, a little convenience store. You're not thinking grandiose in the growth or what have you, but I think all of these things are very important to an entrepreneur, a business owner, which is the retirement aspect of your business. So retirement planning, what advice or what kind of tried and true strategies you have for something like that?
For retirement planning, we say start where you are. If you're 25 or you're 45 or 55, wherever you are, identify where you are and how long do you want to work? Okay. What's at the end of the rainbow for you? Okay. Do you want to continue working till you fall dead? Matter of fact, I had a dentist. We asked him that question. We asked him, what's your succession plan? Okay. He said his succession plan was work till he fall dead because he didn't do any planning. And that's why a lot of businesses fail, because they don't have a plan. You have to plan it all out. Okay, by the time I'm 65, 75, 85, whatever the number is, I want to be able to retire. Okay, when you retire, what do you want to happen to your business? Do you want it to just blow away? Do you want your family to take it? Do you have somebody that's working with you that might be a potential buyer? Mm-hmm. So that when you retire, you can walk away. Okay. You have to think about those kind of things. Okay. So if you're at 55, the window's a lot shorter than if you was 25. They got 30 more years to do something. But if you're 55, how long do you want to work? 20 years? Okay, to 75? Okay, if that's the case, let's start putting some money away. How much can we put away? Stack as much as you can away. And then as you start moving closer, if you are a solopreneur, chances are you're just going to let it blow away. Mm-hmm. But if you're smart and you build a nice practice, you start to look for a buyer. Okay. I work with a bunch of folks. I work with accountants. I work with lawyers. I work with business brokers. I work with people that help with people with their finances, because finance is one of the major stumbling blocks for small business people. They don't have access to cash. That's a big problem in business. You got to have some reserves. You got to have access to money. If you ain't got no money and your business is slow, how you going to survive? So you have to have access to those things. So I try to work with all of those people because I want business people to be as successful as they possibly can. So we talk about a whole plethora of things, not just what we do, but here's some other things. Here's some other tools you need to have in your arsenal. You need to have exceptional credit as a business owner, especially if you're dealing with government, because the first thing the government's going to do is go look at your Dun and Bradstreet. Mm-hmm.
So you assist in all those aspects too as well?
We help that. Yeah, we help right there because we want you to be successful. We know what we do, but we also understand it's a lot of tools. We just one of the tools in the toolbox. Mm-hmm. But look, you need to also think about these other things because we want you to be successful, because if they're successful, they remember us and they say, oh, you know what? Remember that you were telling us about, okay, we want to start putting some money into that plan so that by the time we retire, we got some paper. Mm-hmm. So we want to help them with all of those types of things. So retirement planning is always going to be key because it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So you want to try to stack as much as you can, because the whole point of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs are risk takers. We take risk. And the reason that people take risk, because it's a reward.
Yeah, risk reward.
I take this risk and they pay out. I mean, it's been some folks that's done some things that, paid off real well. So that whole point behind that is for us to try and help and identify as many resources as we can to make sure that these businesses are as successful as they possibly can be, no matter how big or small.
Okay. And that goes towards the transition from the ownership side of it too as well. Because oftentimes I'm in a store and you'll see the owner and the children working in the store, and they're trying to pass on the to-do list of how it goes, because they're in school growing and learning and not realizing that after school, you're going to end up probably taking over this business. So you need to pay attention, because your dream of basketball, your dream of being a lawyer, whatever, may not work. But here's this family business that, as an entrepreneur, your sweat resource or sweat equity kind of built it. So learn it so that you can kind of take it over. And then maybe your children can actually, do something different if they don't want to do this.
Yeah. Absolutely. And all you're talking about now is options, because you're absolutely right. All kids are not going to want to get into the family business. Some will, some won't. So the whole point behind that is, when you start talking about succession planning, is you want to identify, do you actually have someone in the family that's interested first? And not only are they interested, but are they competent enough to run it? Because sometimes they may not be competent enough. Sometimes they just might be that child that's special. Yeah. That you can't give them all of that. You got to kind of put it in some kind of a trust or something for that one, because that one is going to mess it up. And then sometimes you have that one that can take it. But that's all a part of the succession planning, is identifying, okay, who wants to be in it, who doesn't. And then once you figure that whole thing out, I mean, you could put a plan in place for the one that want to take over the business can take it over. The one that doesn't, they don't get left out. I mean, you could have an insurance policy in place equal to the value of the business. So you leave that to the child that doesn't want to be in the business, so that they don't feel slighted, so that they have just as much as the other sibling. And you may have that one child that you can't do none of that. You got to set up a trust. You set them a little trust up, and you ante out so much a month. And that's it for that one, because, if you gave them all of it, they'd blow it.
So is that kind of like with even life insurance too as well? Absolutely. You can kind of structure it so it's not a lump sum payout, where it's just, you actually can generate generational wealth by the structuring of it. So,
Absolutely.
So you, go ahead.
But it's just a matter of identifying identifying the people that can handle it and the ones that can't. And even if you've got children in the business, but you don't think they are competent enough to run it, you might have someone in the business that can run it.
And you don't worry about hurt feelings or anything like that, because at that point, you're making this a good business decision for the future growth of the business when you're not around
and
or
you put
there.
The incentives in for them. You put them on the board of directors, but you might hire somebody else to be the CEO, and they just a major shareholder. Okay. In the business, and they get all of the benefits. They get the dividend checks at the end of the year and all those kind of things. But if they don't want to run it, you don't want to force it. You don't want to push it down their throat. Because, in business, it's rare to see a business in third generation.
That's another one I wanted to ask you too as well. Why is it so often that I heard that so often that a business, no matter how successful it was in the first, by third, it is in ruin, shambles, and bankrupt? Is it the lack of love from the third? Or what is that disconnect? Because they saw how successful it was being ran this way. So do they not have the love, why it fell? Or is there anything that
That's a good question.
You can kind of...
the thing that the only thing that I can see is that the first generation were the pioneers. So the pioneers, they did it all. They got it all. They know that the sweat equity that went into it. The second generation, they may have just grown into it.
Okay.
Daddy sent them off to Harvard or Yale somewhere to study, business, to come back to run the business. And by the time it's the third generation, they all spoiled. They're not used to working. And maybe that's a part of it. Maybe we should make sure that by the time we get to that third generation, they have some kind of a work ethic. Maybe don't start them out at the top level. How do you
kind of build that, though? Is there any kind of roadmap for building that, other than, because you said, someone in there may not be competent, and you're trying to weed out which one. Okay, that one over there. You watch the movies, you see how they pick and choose, and
absolutely,
based on probably realities, this, that, and the third.
We went to the same school, we went to the same fraternities, all of that stuff. I would say that succession planning and working with people that can help you identify those personality traits, because sometimes bad management, some folks are just not good leaders.
Okay.
You could look at leaders in politics and all these different avenues. And sometimes it just comes down to the lack of good leadership, because you look at some of these companies and you say, why did they go under? Well, look at who was leading them. Sometimes those folks just are not competent enough. They just don't have the skill level to take that business and lead it the right way. And I think that's a part of it. But also, you really have to bring some professional people in and look at the structure of your business to see, okay, if we're going to talk about succession planning, then we need to sit down and really just evaluate the company. Who are the drivers? Who are the folks that's making this thing happen? And let's just sit down and just have a conversation and see, if it's the kids, let's have a conversation with them, so that, like you say, there are no hard feelings in the event that they can't run this thing. We wanted to still provide you with income. We wanted to provide you with some wealth. So this is we
just don't want the business to fail.
We don't want it to fail, and we don't want you to fail.
Yeah, and we don't,
right.
That's why I say it's business. It's not feelings. It's not emotions. This is just business. Absolutely. And if you're not able to get it now, maybe as you build and grow, you'll look back in hindsight and say, okay, I see what Dad was saying or teaching and woo in terms of making sure this business don't fail.
Yeah. And check this out. Sometimes it might not be that second generation. It might be the grandkids that get it. That's the one.
Right.
That can take it to that next level.
Right.
May not be them kids, might be that next one down the line. But again, the key is in structuring it so that you can provide that generational. And even if they get out of the business, you should still create wealth.
Right.
So again, infinite banking is still a way to create wealth. So even if they walk away from the business, they don't have to walk away from the wealth.
So what's that principle of infinite banking?
The principle of infinite banking is we show people how they can, put a little bit of money aside. Basically, you put it in some life insurance.
Okay.
The life insurance builds a lot of value. We customize it so that it has a lot of cash in it. And the cash that's growing inside of it is growing tax free. I didn't say tax deferred. It's growing tax free. So you do that for every generation, just like the Kennedys do. When a baby is born in the Kennedy family, they set up an infinite banking contract for them worth millions. So that they know that child, no matter what they do, no matter how crazy they get, if they smoke crack, whatever, they still gonna be a millionaire just by putting some simple principles in place. Put infinite banking in, life insurance policy, for whatever amount of money. The more you put in, the more you get out. Stick it in there, and 10, 15, 20 years down the line, when they become, adults, you already then transferred wealth to them. So if they do anything on their own, it's gravy.
It's just icing on the cake.
But average, ordinary people can set their kids up to be wealthy.
Is it the lack of knowledge? Because you hear that all the time. And that's, like I said, this is what we do, man. I've had businesses that I understand now or overstand now. It was my lack of business knowledge and acumen why, it went how it went. So is it really that almost every time?
It is. And we said it earlier, when you know better, you do better.
Right.
When you know that this stuff works, let it work. Don't interfere with it. Let it do what it's supposed to do. And we guarantee you, if you let it do what it's supposed to do, you'll provide wealth for your kids. And you don't have to be a multimillionaire to create it. But every family has to have that person that says, you know what, enough of this. You know, we're going to take a stand right here, and we're going to do what needs to be done to make sure that our family history goes a whole nother way. Instead of everybody always complaining about the lack of. We're in the world's richest country. The world's richest country. And we sitting here complaining. Why do you think all these people come across the border to get here?
Opportunity.
Absolutely. Opportunities are here. We just got to reach out and doggone decide to do something about the opportunities that are here. Because in these times, when you have what we have going on right now, you know, chaos and everything around us, now is the time for innovation. I mean, think about Amazon and these guys. Who would have thought?
And their branch is kind of wide.
Yeah.
They started maybe with just books, and they're now, you name it.
Trillions. And here's the thing. Innovation didn't stop with Bezos. Innovation is still going to continue. Somebody's going to build a company bigger than Amazon. People are like, oh, it's never going to happen. I'm like, I think sometimes folks forget there was a company called Kmart. Where's Kmart? Where's Sears? Those were conglomerates back in the day.
I remember those. Heckinger's. I remember all of those type of stores.
And now you look and you're like, Montgomery Ward. I mean, all of those companies. You're like, where are those guys at now?
I'm not even sure if they're the Sears and Roebucks anymore. But
exactly. And don't even talk about that because, you know, Roebuck was the black guy.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
He was, he
at least his name was kind of, okay.
But yeah, he sold his shares out, but that's a whole other story too. But, you know, start where you are. You don't have to be independently wealthy to help your kids to be wealthy. Okay. But you have to have a plan and you have to execute the plan. And that's the real key. And again, a GoFundMe page ain't a plan. You know, I see that. And what's the other one? Crowdfunding and all that. Hey, if you can pull it off, more power to you.
And I don't even. I was about to. I be having to catch myself sometimes because my brain, my filter seemed to left me a few minutes ago. You know, a few ticks ago, my filter left me, so I be having to catch myself sometime, man. But I support sweat of the brow. You know, that's just what that's what my dad taught me. Okay. There was no free handouts. No.
Gotcha.
By the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread. So you do not don't take no lazy way out. Okay. There's nothing wrong with asking for assistance with, you know, point me in this direction so I can go use the sweat of my brow. There's nothing wrong with those things, man.
Absolutely.
But you, that's just a foundation you build on. And I think we're in an era where everyone want to wake up and ball tomorrow. They don't want no hard work. They don't want to have no kind of testimony like, man, I used to have this, I had this, that, and that. You need those hard times. Not saying you're asking for them or you want them or anything like that, but you kind of need those to build that backbone up of resiliency.
Yes, sir.
So I absolutely, like you said, you know, God bless you. And however that goes, but I just support sweat of your brow because I think you get more paid forwardness and more return on just life energies if you do it that way. So what we want to do is just give you some principles that are tried and true. And if you're willing to work and learn and adhere and add these things, you will maximize your growth and your ability to give back and help out. But they are tried and true principles. But as I said, I come into recruiting and training and things like that. Because one of the other things I keep harping back to is I like how you structure those 7 principles. Yeah. That's why I didn't have to do so much research with you because that was just beautiful. Yeah. Those guidelines that you laid out is what we're really trying to get to. These are some principles. Adhere to them. implement them. It's not overnight with every one of them,
Absolutely.
but just adhere them, stick to them, and let it be a regimen, and you will be successful in what you're doing. So the recruiting, training, and the other one is rewarding the people's hard work.
Absolutely, and that's really key, because you'll be surprised at how hard people will work just for that acknowledgement, more sometimes than money. In front of their peers, you give them some award and those type of things. Sometimes that's even more than a pay raise. But what you said was so key. There's nothing that can replace a good work ethic. You got a good work ethic. That's one of the principles that you're going to need, if you really want to be successful. Because like you say, you just can't sit there with your little, rubbing on that magic lamp, waiting for the genie to pop out. You have to put in something. You got to put it in if you want something out.
That's the sweat equity. So you may not have all your resources, but you can do some of this yourself. Tell folks you got a whole computer in your pocket. Just Google this, Google that, and you can get some answers and kind of help yourself that way. And don't be defeatist with they not gonna, this not gonna. No, you're defeating yourself instantly even thinking that way.
Absolutely.
Find the resources, reach out, call, do, we used to go to the library and call catalog and the whole, Dewey Decimal System, and we didn't have no Google phone to kind of catch us up so quick. We had to get on the bus and even get to the library and things of that nature to even help ourselves. Right now, we got it so readily. There is no excuse for you not empowering yourself, building, growing, and gaining the information and things like that. Absolutely. But also, you got something called your small business. You want to speak to that?
Your small business. When I was really active as a Toastmaster leader.
Okay.
I had some Toastmaster clubs that were downtown Atlanta, but I noticed that we didn't have any type of a small Toastmaster club for small business owners.
Okay.
And I thought it would be a good idea to have a Toastmaster club for small businesses, because when you think about a small business owner, you like the mouthpiece, you like the person, you like doing everything. You the HR, you the PR, you clean up when everybody goes, you name it. That's your job description. You in all of that. So if you're going to be the mouthpiece, if you're going to be the face, if you're going to be the conflict person, something happens, they put that mic in your face. Well, what happened at so-and-so? You have to be able to articulate. So I thought it would be a great idea to put your small business Toastmasters together. And that club is still running today, but we wanted to build it around entrepreneurs, plus the power of networking, in addition to working on your communication skills as a leader, and then working on your leadership skills, because in Toastmasters, they teach you a lot about leadership. They teach you a lot about communication. And I thought it would be a perfect idea to put that club together. And we were able to build it with entrepreneurs from the neighborhood and help them to start building. And the key is, as a professional, and if you're in a business, I consider you to be a professional. If you're a professional, you should always be working on your skill set. You should never get to a point where you say, I know it all, I've done it all. If that's the case, then you need to go back and study something else. But to me, it's just a part of your growth, a part of your professional development, to be a part of your small business Toastmasters. And that was the whole point, and helping to build those muscles with communications and with leadership, because there's a lot of opportunities to lead and to speak and those types of things. So when someone walks up to you from the news channel and they say, well, what happened over there at your restaurant or your place? You're able to get in there without hesitation and articulate it where people really understand what you're saying, and not like a politician where you're like, what did they just say? But be able to actually hit your points, concise, to the point, wrap it up, and not be afraid to get up and speak. Or you might be called on to go and talk to a bunch of high school kids. Oh, Lord, let us pray.
Yeah.
But you might have to go to an auditorium. You got 200 kids in there. And you're going to have to figure out a way to get to them so that they listen to what you have to say. So it helps you there to figure out the crowd. So all of those things come into play to help you to identify those types of opportunities. So when you're ready, what is that saying? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So all of those things are there so that when you're ready, that club will appear and say, okay, look, here's what we can help you do. Let's get out there and make it happen.
So is that something that you honed, or is that something that you knew? Because some people have the gift of gab. They can just enter a room and, how you doing over there? And, work the room. That's just their personality, this, that, and the third. Was that something that you always had, not necessarily a gift of gab, but like the professionalism to know that, okay, this is just how you conduct yourself? Especially just like you said, if you're saying you're in business and you're a professional, there are just certain things, this is just certain etiquette to it, right?
I would say that, I was an entertainer. I was a drummer.
That's another episode then.
So I was in the music. Career. So, we were always on the stage in front of folks, doing stuff. But the speaking and all of that came from just getting into the business world, because I had no idea, years ago that, I'd be, speaking in front of, hundreds of people and that kind of thing. That had no idea of that. But one of the things that I realized was I was up on the stage, but I said, okay, now I need to figure out, my style. What kind of style do I have? When do I need to do different things? So it's a lot to communication, body language, all of that stuff comes into play. And I didn't know any of that stuff until I started going to Toastmasters. And that's when I started picking up on all of those tools, because I was surprised when I went to that first meeting. I was like, man, this thing is really organized. And that's when the bulb went off. So, I've been talking to folks, like you say, they had the gift, but it's a way to express that gift in a way that you can enhance it.
Okay.
You may have the gift, but this can enhance that. And if you don't have it, come work on it.
Okay.
Because to me, it's like a laboratory.
Yeah.
You may have a presentation. You come there to that club and you work on it there. And everybody wants you to succeed, so they all going to give you feedback. Well, you said so-and-so. Maybe you need to think about doing it this way and doing it that way. You're like, hey, I didn't think about that. But because you went there to practice, it's like, I want to be a champion, but I don't practice. The practice is the hard work. The game is the easy work. You done it so much in practice. It's easy. It's fun in the game, but practice, who want to practice? But that's where you hone the skill on the practice field. You work, you sweat, you fall, you get up, you scrape your knees, you do all that in practice. So when it's game time,
it's muscle memory at that point.
I done it. That shot done failed 40, 50, 60% of the time. That's my shot. I'm going to take it. And if not, I'll know when to pass it and all the other stuff, because we practice. So that club is the practice field for business owners.
When I did more research on it, man, I just thought that was so fantastic. And I watched another podcast, and they always stress giving people the flowers when they can smell it. And I'm just telling you, man, the outline, your structure, what you're doing for businesses, and I'll say not even just small, just for someone, an entrepreneur trying to learn some business etiquette, some practice, some things like that. You did a fantastic job, man. And I can't say much more about it other than it's a breath of fresh air when I was going down your bio and looking at just what you're involving yourself in and the good things that come from it. So I say that to say this now. What is a story you're proud of with helping an entrepreneur or even helping a business, just someone in general that you're just particularly proud of and feel good about?
I would say that I have a person, matter of fact, she's got the same birthday as mine, December 21st.
Okay.
And when I first met her, just like raw clay. But as we started working together at Toastmasters, and it kind of spilled over into the insurance practice. And I'm just so proud of what she's been able to build in her insurance practice. She's been able to take the principles that we have given her, and she has position herself so that she has two homes. She has a home here in Georgia, but she also has a home in the Dominican Republic. So she can live over there 6 months. She can live over here 6 months. Yeah, so she's giving herself options. And she also, when she saw this infinite banking concept, she took it and ran with it. So she preaches it, she teaches it wherever she goes. And I'm just proud of her because she's just a student that saw it and took advantage of it and is still doing a lot of things. I talk to her a couple of times a week and she's telling me, can you do this? Can you set this up for me? And that whole thing. But I'm really proud of her, and what she's been able to accomplish. And also a guy at our church. I'm proud of him because he actually came to one of our business breakfasts, and he was the guy that did the acquisition, and it propelled his business. Tenfold, so that it's doing multi-millions now.
Okay.
And he's got a real successful operation. He got a fleet of trucks and all of that kind of stuff now. So those are a couple that just kind of stand out right now. We're working on some guys right now that have some real potential that we're working with right now too.
Okay. No, that's good and fantastic. And I'm glad that you was able to help someone, and it just harkens back to you feeling good about it, because that's what you do it for.
Absolutely.
I think you do the thing for the love, and the reward just comes as a byproduct.
Without a doubt. Matter of fact, who said it? They said, if you love what you do, it's not like work.
It's not work at all. So is there anything that you'd like to actually highlight, speak on? I know we kind of moved around a little bit,
I would say that, the one thing that I always ask business people, and it's this, and you might want to answer it. What's your greatest asset?
Oh, man. What make me think? I want to say my love for people.
For business people, when I ask them that, they'll always say it's their business, those types of things. But their greatest asset is them. That person is the greatest asset. And unless you're independently wealthy, you're the greatest asset. So we always try to make sure that you the goose that's laying all these golden eggs. So we want to make sure that we take care of you. So if anything happened, because our folks, we're susceptible to the big three. Heart attack, cancer, strokes. We're susceptible to all of those things. So let's make sure that we cover you with some type of disability income insurance, so that if you're not able to continue working because of an accident or an illness, your money don't stop. Because you laying all these eggs, does your business continue to function without you there? If you're the driving force, if you're the pioneer, or if you have partners, when it becomes disabled, let's make sure we take care of the operating crew. So if you got a partner or two partners, when them go down, can you continue to pay them while they can't function? And you struggling, trying to make ends meet, because that partner was the one that was out there moving and shaking, bringing in the dough. They out there making the donuts. Make sure that we take care of that operating team. So if one of them go down, we got that safety net to make sure that we can continue to flow. And if that disabled partner can never come back, let's put in the provision. Just like in a marriage where we have an agreement. If you can't come back, we'll buy you out. Whatever the number is, it's $1 million, 2, 5, whatever. Write out the check, give it to you. Now we take ownership of the other shares. Maybe we hire somebody, maybe we bring in another partner, but you have options. So we always talk about the greatest asset. Unless you're independently wealthy and your wealth is doing everything for you. Like Beyonce's kids, they ain't never got to work a day in their life because they independently wealthy.
And it goes back to what you're saying with the Kennedys and the infinite
banking. They set them up to succeed.
Yeah.
And we can do the same thing. We can't start on the scale they at because, they didn't
but
make
it just
so
needs
much.
To start.
But you need somebody in that family needs to be the one. Every family is the one. Beyonce was the one in her family, Jay-Z, and all these P. Diddy, all of them, they was the one. So just have to be the one. And you may not be at that level. But like I say, you might start small, but don't think small.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, especially with our people, we limit ourselves and don't think grandiose enough. And we end up defeating ourselves thinking, oh, we can't accomplish it because it's too big. Let me just think small and do this, that, and the third. When reality is you're limiting yourself by your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. No doubt. And what's the saying in the Bible? You get not because you ask not.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you want it, you got to program. Program your mind. Whether you're getting up 5 minutes in the morning and program your mind, looking in that mirror, put your vision board up, put something on your mirror so you got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have an accountability partner,
my
accountability partner,
I think that's understated because I've reached out to some of my I do electrical work as my day-to-day when they say don't quit your day job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I reach out to some of my contractor friends who their wife work in tandem to say, listen, I want to interview you guys because you need to motivate other husbands and wives that are actually partnering in business to how do you compartmentalize working together and then going home and leaving work alone. Yeah. And it's now family time where you're actually showing, family, wife, husband, family love, and exactly. And we're not talking about insurance.
Right.
We're trying to watch, this scary movie or leave it alone, turn the phone off, that type of thing, because it's a fine balance. And that partnership you can rely on, bounce ideas off of, those things are priceless. And you got to facilitate that. What you did to meet, you need to keep to continue,
Oh, absolutely.
Don't stop any of those things. And, pray for you that you don't.
But. And folks that can do that, you got to just, give them their due, to be able to work like that. So that's a really good thing that if they can do that. My accountability partner is an actress.
Okay.
She's also a singer.
Okay.
That's what she does.
So maybe you can facilitate a episode about those things for us.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, please.
Yeah, I know she would love to speak on some of those types of things.
I would love, because we did an episode with a friend of ours that's a model and trying to give the younger generation what are the behind the scenes to look forward to, because I hear a lot of things about, parents forcing their child to do this, that, and the third. So I was kind of curious. So she was able to give us some good information about, how that go. So anywhere we can encounter an entrepreneur or someone in a field to kind of give some guidance, because that's what it's about at the end of the day.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head right there. Again, goes back to that concept of each one teaching.
Each one teach one. I look at it as a relay race. I start out running as fast as I can, but I have to slow down and make sure I hand that baton on to you so you don't drop it.
Absolutely.
So that's me teaching you, because the race is over if it's dropped and fumbled. So I got to slow down and hand you that baton, and you're going to go faster than me.
That's it.
Because I'm naturally slowing down with age. But you're going to run faster than me. But then you got to slow down too and hand it on to someone else. Okay. And then we all win. No doubt. So that's to me, that's just a governing principle where we're in the midst of a relay race that we got to make sure we hand that baton off in a proper manner so that it lessens the learning curve, bumps in the road, and things like that as much as possible.
Yeah, you don't have to be a student of the what is it? The game of hard knocks. Everything don't have to be a hard lesson.
It don't.
Some lessons can be a smart lesson. But sometimes, that hard lesson for some folk is going to be needed or required. But not all of them have to be hard.
And you can learn from mine and I can learn from yours.
Absolutely.
So that's a very good thing too as well. But, Mr. Greg Palmer, when they want to reach out to you and get this great guidance from you, how can they do that?
They can hit us on our website. Our website is gpifinancial.com.
Okay.
Or they can call me, on my cell phone. That number is 404-484-3638. So they can reach out either way. Website, phone, email, or they can go to our LinkedIn, account as well, GPI Financial Services.
Okay.
We've been more than happy to talk to them. So anyone that's interested in business, going into business, or just would like to chat, feel free to, holler at us.
Okay, that's fantastic. And we appreciate you allowing us to ramble with you and sharing this great guidance and things of that nature, man.
Absolutely.
It means a lot to us. And I'm not sure if we didn't cover anything that you'd like to definitely cover or highlight before we, not part ways, but,
At this point, I can't think of a whole lot of things, but just to make sure that you have a plan when you go into business.
Okay.
And surround yourself, try to identify some people that can help you, some trusted advisors that can counsel you. And as a business owner, maybe even have those as advisors, or maybe even your initial board of directors.
Okay.
So one or both in some situations, because you want to bounce those ideas off of someone else. And the reason I say that is because sometimes you may be fixated on what it is that you do, but you don't see all the other variables that are around you that they might be able to bring to the table and give you a different perspective.
No, I think that was a key point that you just made. And then you just say, I think you said earlier, self-entrepreneur or something like that.
Solopreneur.
Solopreneur, yeah.
You're trying to do everything.
You're trying to do, no. Sometimes you do need a good team, a core of, like you said, trusted advisors that are giving you feedback on what we're trying to accomplish in the grand scheme of whatever that business venture is. So
for sure.
I think that's fantastic.
And network. There's your network. Because if your net works, it needs to net worth.
Well, fantastic. And I think that's understated too as well, networking. And
absolutely,
that's one of the things where your small business come into play as well, because you're giving all of these techniques that are tried and true, but networking is one of those too as well. You have to network. You have to have great, strong resources in what you're doing in order to be successful in whatever your endeavor is.
Oh yeah. And you never know who you're going to meet. And some people, you might have an instant connection and make some things happen right there on the spot. Then sometimes it might take years down the road before, you find that point where, oh, you know what, maybe we could team up. Maybe we could do some things together at some point in the future, because, life is that way.
It is. But they say, some plant the seed, some water the seed, but God get the glory. So you just never know, don't limit yourself. And I also tell folks, listen, don't limit your entrepreneurship has no color. So don't open a business saying I'm only geared here, there, and there, but you're limiting yourself. And it's just people who are working hard, trying to facilitate a dream or idea that they have. And oftentimes it's to help or provide a service for someone else. And, the resources is a byproduct, because you pay, you coach, you play, you practice for the love. And then the game is it's just basic.
Absolutely. But you definitely said something right there. Don't limit your audience.
Don't limit yourself.
Don't limit it. Yeah. Because you can, in the environment of today, you can go global and nobody would know what color you are. They just know that your product works.
Exactly. That's how we tell our guests, until we get our full networking to that level, just turn on those notifications so that when you get this new episode from Good Karma, you can get that information right now.
Yes, sir. Get it, then use it.
And then implement it.
Yeah, because, knowledge is only power when you implement it.
When you implement it. There you go. That's a great note to leave it on, Greg.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Much. Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you for stopping by and rambling with us, sir.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to today's Ramble. Please like, share, and subscribe for new episodes of the iRamble podcast. Also, check out iramble.com for more guest content.